folks. It's my pleasure to introduce our next speaker. This is Raymonde Simanovskis from EasyBI in Latvia, one of my favorite, actually probably my all-time favorite app for Atlassian tools. Raymonde is going to share with us everything about his tool, EasyBI. Again, phenomenal tool. So Raymonde, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm really happy to be here. I'm Raymonde Simanovskis, founder and CEO of EasyBI, and I will talk to you about how to use EasyBI for software and service team performance analysis. But first, so where I'm coming from. So I'm coming from a small country, Latvia, in the north of Europe, but which is exactly in the same time zone, so I don't have any jet lag. This is my first time in South Africa, so thank you for invitation. And actually my first time in Africa at all, so I'm really happy to be here. So it was quite a long flight, and I managed to sleep the majority of it, but just the final part of it, the landing part, was a little bit scary. So this is how our vertical landing in Gold Reef City looked like. So I came here with two of my kids, so they were also quite happy with it, and so we are enjoying our time here. But let's continue with EasyBI. So EasyBI is a general-purpose business intelligence tool for data analysis and visualization. But the main differentiator is that we have very deep built-in Jira integration. And as you know, Jira is a very powerful tool where you can put a lot of data in. You can define a lot of custom fields, a lot of custom workflows. And then there are some standard reporting capabilities, some standard reporting gadgets that you can use, but they have a quite limited functionality with some limited configuration capabilities. And if you have put a lot of data in, and if you really want to get the data out also in a lot of different ways, that's where customers are using EasyBI. So with EasyBI, you can easily create drag and drop style, pivot table style reports where you can analyze different measures like issues created or resolved, or hours estimated or spent, or time spent in workflow transition statuses. And then you can analyze them by different dimensions, like by time, by projects, by statuses, priorities, and things like that. And when you have selected the data you want to analyze, you can visualize it using different chart types, doing bar charts, line charts, pie charts, map charts, scatter charts, etc. A lot of different data visualizations to present the data better for your specific needs. And then also EasyBI includes a powerful calculations engine. And we provide a lot of default calculation formulas, but then you can learn how to write these calculation formulas by yourselves and create specific calculations for your specific business KPIs. But now I wanted to do also a quick demo how EasyBI looks like so that you are more convinced that you can easily create a lot of different reports. So when you have installed EasyBI for Jira, you'll have a separate EasyBI tab there where you go and you can do you get to the full screen report editor. In EasyBI, you can define several so-called EasyBI accounts, and in each EasyBI account, you can create separate set of reports, import separate set of data you want to analyze. And like in this example, I have imported data from some Jira projects, and then you can select what custom fields from these projects you would like to analyze. Then there will be several sample reports created that you can use to evaluate how EasyBI works and what are the samples available. For example, one sample report is where you can see issues created versus issues resolved over time, and also average resolution days, open issues at the end of the period, and you can filter these data by different other dimensions. But let me show you how you can easily build this report from scratch. I will create a new empty report, and I will start from the measures. I would like to use issues created and issues resolved measures. and I will analyze them by time, and we'll use projects for filtering, use issue type for filtering. And in this case, I would like to see them by on a monthly level. And let's filter just bugs over there. And let's switch now to the bar chart and do the vertical bar chart. So I want to customize it. I want to see issues created in the red color, issues resolved in the green color. And in addition, I would like to add also average resolution time to this report. I will add average resolution days. And as this is a measure with a different scale, I will put it on a separate axis. And we'll change the visualization type to line. And now it looks better how I wanted to see that. So I can save this report as bugs created versus resolved. And now I'll create also another report where I want to analyze features by their historical status. I will start with issues history measure. I'll select that. And again, let's pick a time dimension. Let's select projects, issue types, as well as I will analyze them by transitions. And we will select all months. We'll select just features. And we will expand to detailed statuses and see it over there. And we'll switch to the bar chart, vertical stacked bar chart. And now we see features over time, how many features at the end of particular month were in particular workflow status. And whenever we see some total, we can always drill through some list of issues which are included there, and from there you can navigate to the detailed Jira issues page and see it where it is. So we'll save features status history report. And we have created several reports. We can create dashboard pages in EasyBI. I'll create a new demo dashboard page where I'll add these two reports that I just created, as well as I had previously created one additional summary report with created and resolved issues in the last 90 days. And I'll select the layout. I want to see these reports side by side, expand them, make the project selection as a common selection for the whole dashboard. And I have created a dashboard where I see overview of either all projects, or I can select some particular project and see the details in this dashboard. And when you have created such kind of dashboards, you can publish them in Jira dashboards as well. So I can add to the Jira dashboard, this EasyBI, the dashboard page, select from which EasyBI account you would like to do that, and save it, and any Jira user with whom you share this Jira dashboard can use that. So very quick demonstration of some key capabilities of EasyBI. And I will continue with the presentation and with some different use cases, some other use cases, how to use that. But at first, I wanted to talk why analyze team performance and why it is important. Previously, before doing EasyBI, I have been working also for 15 years in different IT software projects, and I have participated in many project status meetings, and quite often in these status meetings, everyone is having some opinion that, especially when something is not going so well as expected, then everyone has some favorite opinion why something went wrong. So either we're not doing enough testing, or there's too many bugs, or we don't have enough resources, and things like that. But quite often these are subjective and wrong opinions about that. It's not based on the actual facts. And therefore, it's always better to start with the facts and define how we will measure what are these key facts about how our team is performing. And then we don't need to argue about the facts, whether they are correct or wrong. Then we agree on these facts. And then we can spend more time and discussing how we can improve how we are working. And that's the main purpose of doing this team performance analysis. And I wanted to share several examples, what are some most often used EasyBI reports in different kind of projects. So I'll start with some reports from the Jira core functionality where EasyBI can be used. The first one is already what I was showing as an example. So it's always good that you agree within a team with some overview report which captures some main facts about how you are performing over time. And these created versus resolved issues type of reports are quite common for that purpose. But then in EasyBI, as I was showing, you can, in one report, you can also show several measures with different scales, like show also what was the average resolution time, or how many issues were open at the end of that time period. So that within this same report you can see, are there any correlations between these different type of measures. And then this typical overview report is, for example, when you're doing some new feature development, you want to see how many issues were in some particular workflow status. And then you can identify whether you have any bottlenecks in your process. For example, if you are looking at in-progress statuses, you see how many issues were either in development or in testing or in some final review or waiting for deployment. And then if you see, and using such kind of charts, you can much easier to identify whether there were some bottlenecks in the process which you need to improve. So quite often the issue resolution time is analyzed, and quite often the problem is that we concentrate too much on average resolution time of issues. But the averages quite often can hide a lot of details and give us wrong impressions, especially if you have some outliers, that some issues were typically, if issues are solved very fast, but then there are some outliers which took very long time. Then in EasyBI, you can start at first, you can, instead of analyzing resolution days, you can start with analyzing work days. So we exclude some weekends, holidays. But then instead of just focusing on averages, sometimes it's good to look at the mean time, not at the mean time, but at the median resolution days. So if you put all these resolution days in a line, so which is in terms of in the middle there, and so which would be more typical resolution days and which are not so much influenced by some couple issues which were solved in a very long time. So this median can be much lower resolution time. Then also, instead of just looking at averages or medians, it's sometimes better to look at intervals. How many issues were resolved in 1 week, for example, or in 2 weeks, or within a month? And for that, EasyBI can provide that you can build histograms of either resolution time or age time, where you can define, I want to see how many issues were resolved within from 0 to 6 days, up to 1 week. How many were resolved in up to 2 weeks or up to 1 month, and etc. And then when you see which are some of these outliers, then you can drill into these slices of data and see the detailed issues and investigate why they took so long time. Then when you are looking at on a timeline of data, created, resolved issues, sometimes it's good and combine and show some other events which might influence this issue creation or resolving time. And for example, you can put on a timeline some vertical lines when some new versions were released. And then you can track whether it influenced or didn't influence either issue creation time for these new versions or issue resolution time. The other chart type, which is good to spot some correlations of data, are scatter and bubble charts, where on each axis you can put different measures and then also change the size of these bubbles using some third measure. And then, for example, you can, in this example, can see by the issue resolution time and then compare it with the average resolution days. And then split these bubbles by issue priority, and the size of the bubble is the number of issues which were resolved there. And these scatter charts quite often provide you a much easier way how to spot some things and identify whether something is correlating or not. So if you are doing time reporting, then you need to think, what is the main purpose why you do time reporting? As from experience, I know that people typically hate reporting their time, so they know what they did, so why they need to, again, put everything in the system. But if you really need that, then use the data as well, and then ensure that the data, what is needed, is captured. Then using EasyBI, you can do time reporting by any additional fields that you specified there, either by projects or by components or by some other custom fields or report, or whether it was some overtime or some other field that you are interested in. So if we will now switch to EasyBI for agile teams which are working in sprints and using Jira software. So what are some sample reports that EasyBI provides? So the first one is starting with some sprint burn down and burn up charts, where you can see by days how many issues, how many story points were resolved on each day, what was cumulative burn up line, how many story points were resolved during that sprint, what was the story points remaining burn down line, as well as EasyBI can calculate what is the trend, how these story points are burned down during the sprint, and whether it looks that you will hit the target or you will not hit the target to resolve all planned committed story points within that sprint. Then you can compare your sprint velocity, how many story points were resolved in each sprint over time. And by theory, so if the same team works on the project, this story points per sprint, the sprint velocity should stabilize over time. And to see that, you can also calculate running averages, average running velocity for example, for last 5 closed sprints. And by theory, so it should stabilize, and if it's not, and if your sprint velocity is jumping all the time, up and down, then you can explore why is it so. And then quite often, one of the reasons are that the sprint scope is changing all the time, and which might influence your velocity as well. And using EasyBI, you can see the split of these changes. How many sprint story points were committed at the beginning of a sprint? How many were added during the sprint? How many were removed? How many story points were changed during the sprint? And then compare at the end, so how many you managed to resolve, complete, and how many were left uncompleted. So for service desk, EasyBI provides, so for IT service teams, EasyBI can import all the SLA statistics data from Jira Service Desk. And you can analyze any SLA defined in a service desk to see how many issues met the SLA's defined criteria, how many breached that. You can filter by other criteria what were priorities or request types, as well as always you can, if you see those who didn't meet these targets, you can drill down to the detailed issues and see the actual resolution times for these SLAs and investigate why it was so. As well as you can analyze these tickets either by request types or by channels, how they are reported, and all the data what you capture in Service Desk is available in EasyBI for analysis. So when you are analyzing a lot of these different data, it's also sometimes the bad thing is that just management or some analysts are looking at the data, and people and team members, so they really don't know what is important and how this team performance is measured. And therefore, we always recommend that these key performance indicators are communicated to all teams, to all company. And EasyBI provides several ways how you can do that. So the first thing that I already demonstrated, that you can publish EasyBI dashboards or EasyBI reports and dashboards on Jira dashboards and put on the front of the Jira for any team member. Then if you are using Confluence for your project data, you can embed EasyBI reports and dashboards in Confluence pages as well. And so that everyone who needs that sees that. Then if there are some users or some managers who don't want to go to Jira and check these things out, you can set up scheduled emails, email subscriptions that, for example, each working day at 8 a.m. in the morning, the dashboard will be exported to PDF and emailed to the corresponding user. So that's another way how to distribute that. As well as you can create so-called information radiators that put on some large screens and maybe put next to the coffee machine and put there some key indicators so that people will come to coffee so they don't chat about the weather, so they will look at some data and will chat about that and think about some improvements. Also, I wanted to tell, as I mentioned, that EasyBI is not just for Jira data, so it's a general purpose business intelligence tool, and you can use EasyBI to get data from other data sources. At first, EasyBI is integrated with other top marketplace apps for Jira by other marketplace vendors like Tempo, timesheet management, Insight, asset management, Pro Fields, which is our project level custom fields, as well as several top test management add-ons like Zephyr, X-Ray, Adaptivist Test Management. And all these other apps also provide some basic reporting capabilities, but then if you need some extra information on more custom reports, you can use EasyBI to do the reporting out of those data sources. As well as you can create custom data imports from other data sources, either from different databases where you have some other, maybe you have some ERP system where you have some cost rates by employees, and you can get these cost rates and then use time spent in Jira and then calculate what was the actual cost of the time. As well as you can import data from some REST API data sources if you have some other applications which provide REST API interface. Or if no online interfaces, you can also upload files, CSV files or Excel files, and get the data in. And then you can either combine those imported data with Jira data and create some calculations which use both data, as well as you can, if you have some other data sources for which you don't have a good reporting tool, and if all your programmers are busy doing some other things and you need some easy way how to create some new data analysis capabilities, you can easily, using EasyBI capabilities, create additional EasyBI account and analyze some other data sources. EasyBI is one of the top applications on Atlassian Marketplace, and EasyBI is available for all deployment options. So EasyBI is available both for Jira Server as well as for, we are one of the first approved apps for Jira Data Center, the new program for certified data center apps, as well as EasyBI is available for Jira Cloud, if you would like to use that. And EasyBI has it is the same product on all these platforms. So we have the same source code which is just packaged and deployed differently. So you can start on cloud and move to server, or start from server and move to cloud. And also, if you have defined some reports on one edition, you can export these report definitions and import into another deployment option. So it's very flexible and safe investment. So this was a short overview of EasyBI. And so if you have any questions, so if we have some couple minutes now, I'm ready to answer the questions, as well as I will be available all day here. And there I have also some EasyBI swag items, if you like. You can check them out as well. But now, thank you, and now it's time for a couple of questions.
Hi, I just want to know. So, if one embeds one of your dashboards into Confluence, will it also change as your data change in the backend Jira? So it will remain a real-time graph.
Yeah, so the question is so whether if you embed some reports in Confluence, whether the data will refresh and change. So in EasyBI, you set up the schedule, how frequently you want to synchronize the data from the data source. So the first one will be the full data import from the Jira, and then you can schedule so how frequently the incremental refresh will happen in the backend. And then whenever you publish some report elsewhere, so you can say that please refresh this report data with such frequency, and then it will always get the latest data, what is imported into EasyBI. So it's according, so some are doing it on a daily basis, some are doing up to each 10 minutes these data refreshes. So it will, you can publish so that it automatically refreshes and shows the latest imported data according to the data synchronization schedule. Any other questions now? Yeah, so here's one question.
Is there any capability for forecasting with these models in terms of the trends that you're seeing?
Yeah, so can we do forecasting? So this was one example that I was showing, like in, for example, for these sprint burn downs that we have, these story points remaining trend. So it's using linear regression forecasting based on the actual data, how many, what data you have completed, and then using these calculation formulas, in this case, for example, using this linear regression trend, it will do the forecast, and here it's, this forecast is based on the, not using the weekends for this forecast. So there are many examples how you can do that and use for forecasting. But it's not fully artificial intelligence, so it's can't predict very unknown things, but for kind of these linear forecasts, that could be used. Over there, some question?
When you print in SaaS, can you print in SaaS?
Yeah, so EasyBI is available as software as a service. So it's both our EasyBI cloud is integrated with Jira Cloud. So if you're using that, but as well, you can also use just separate EasyBI cloud accounts and start it over there, and then integrate data from the REST API, including data from Jira. Yeah, so we have, it's available as a SaaS as well. One more question?
Comparatively looking at what you present to the inherent or native Jira reports, what is different from what you are adding as value to reporting, right? And more particularly, if you look at a chart like what we have in front of us, based on maturity, story points, if they are not being maintained by the different projects and teams, what other options do you have just on the base data from Jira to produce any reporting or anything else that could actually help us from EasyBI?
Well, Well, so we have a lot of different measures that you can use to analyze. So it's just based on the count of issues like created or resolved. Then you can analyze if you use some forecasted hour remaining or original estimated hours. You can also build some burn downs by the hours. Then you can, by the number of workflow transitions, for example, how many issues were either resolved or reopened, or how many they stayed in some testing statuses. So all the issue change log is imported into EasyBI, and you can track all the changes of issue statuses, assignees there. So there are a lot of these source data. So typically we have some samples that I was presenting that you can use, but then any data from either JIRA standard fields, as well as any data from custom fields. If you have some list of value fields or custom numeric fields, you can import that data into EasyBI and use for building your custom reports. So typically, the possibilities are unlimited, and so as we quite often say, that simple things are easy, but hard things are still possible.
So is the tool complacent or user-friendly for teams? So could anyone use this to inherit into teams to customize reporting or run reporting for delivery?
Yeah, so the typical approach is that for each team, you can create a separate EasyBI account where they can create their own reports for their specific needs. And the target audience are the project managers, or there's also business users or analysts. So you can create this basic type of reporting using drag and drop functionality. And then there is this advanced part, but if you have done some Excel formulas or some other formulas, you can learn how to write these calculation formulas here as well. And so all the access to the tool is through the web browser, so you don't need any specialized software for that.
And the last question, would you categorize EasyBI as an end user tool for custom reports? Is that what you say?
No, so typically, typically there are maybe some couple key users that maybe learn more in detail how to use that, and then they help different teams how to use that, and then so typically these end users are maybe more like viewing where these reports are published, either on JIRA dashboards or Confluence pages or somewhere else, and some basic things. Easy things you can do by yourself, but typical approach is to get the most of the tool. There are some couple power users who have learned all the capabilities and can help other teams within the organization to create these reports. As well as in larger organizations, quite often there is some you can create internal templates of these reports that, for example, you recommend using these templates, and then any other team can use this template as a base and copy the definition of that and then customize as needed. And that would be the recommended approach, how to use that.
Thanks.
Okay, so probably my time is up, and then if there are more questions, so I'm available during the breaks, and thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Raymonde, CEO and creator of EasyBI. It's an awesome tool.